Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the 7th episode of the Khanaprep podcast. My name's MASOOD, I'm with MOHSIN and Lisa. We've got a special guest with us. We've got Humaira. Humaira,
Yep.
Fair enough. That's the first mistake today. You are a personal trainer.
That's correct, yep.
Female
Personal trainer, yes.
Okay,
yep.
fair enough. And you're
So Anissa's
you
actually
train.
Anissa's actually my client.
Yes,
That's
so
how we connected.
that's how I've started my fitness journey after a very long time in the making. So I've been with you, like 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, about 4 or 5 months,
4 or 5
maybe.
months.
Yeah, maybe half
and
a
it's
year.
pretty much transformed my life, like my entire my relationship with food, fitness, just in general, sort of well-being and things like that.
Your mindset I've seen has changed as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I remember when I first came in, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'll feel so stupid and
That's
so embarrassing.
normal. First time anyone that comes in, they're apprehensive, they're nervous, they don't know what to expect, and then it's like, as soon as they have that first session, they get that sort of endorphin rush and that surge, and it's just like, do you know what? I absolutely love this.
Do you train a lot of first-time people that's done that
A
fitness?
lot of women that come in for the first time, like I said, they don't know what to expect. They've never used a personal trainer before, and it's like, they're totally sort of like in the dark. But once they do it, they absolutely love it.
They're all new to fitness, I'm assuming.
Most of them are, yeah.
So what's that transitional period like? Because obviously if someone's new to fitness, there's a little bit of education barrier that they need to break through as well. Right?
Yeah, no, I give all of that. So
Yeah.
I kind of break it down from the beginning, guide them all the way through and literally teach them the fundamentals and get them going. And then they kind of have that guidance as they go along. So yeah.
You've fast forwarded really quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We've got to the personal training. I was actually going to ask you, let's rewind back the years. When did you start training?
I personally started training myself, getting into fitness, probably about 8-9 years ago. I was going through some personal issues in life. I kind of was going through a bad space, got into training because of that. And yeah, since then, it's like I said, it's transformed my life. It's just been such a sort of, amazing journey. And I thought, okay, I've transformed myself. I feel so much better. I want to sort of do that for other women as well. It kind of ignited that passion for me to go forward and do that for other women.
Was there a reason that you sort of tried to sort of kickstart? Did you always have fitness sort of in your life through your teenage years?
No,
and things
it
like that,
literally was. I went into a dark space in my life and I was like, right, I can't keep going in this downward spiral. I need to do something. My daughter joined nursery when she was 3. I thought I could carry on sitting here, feeling sorry for myself, eating Ben and Jerry's, or I can go to the gym, get that membership, turn my life around. That day I went to the gym was a pivotal point in my life because that day I never looked back and I wish
So
I'd
did you just sort of
started sooner.
fall in love with it straight away, or
Literally,
was it,
in the beginning, it was literally a case of I want to lose some pounds. I went quite big. I was like, okay, it's just literally about fat loss, and that's it. When I got into sort of lifting weights, I absolutely fell in love with it, and that's it. It's just been.
Did you have like a trainer, like a mentor? Was it?
I
Just
had
sort
a
of
couple of trainers,
Yeah.
and then I kind of it was a lot of self-education, trial and error, things like that, and it's just along the years I've just picked up so much. And yeah, I just thought, especially in the Asian community, there's a niche market there. There's hardly any female personal trainers, so I thought, do you know what? I want to help other women who are in a similar position or just genuinely want to get into fitness and they're sort of apprehensive or scared to take that kind of leap into it. I want to sort of bridge that gap and sort of get them into it.
Do you feel like it's mostly like new mums that contact you, or is it just?
It's a whole variety.
Yeah.
It's sort of the younger girls as well who want to sort of look fit and snatched. It's the older sort of women as well, sort of affluent working types. It's a whole range of women.
That's a big thing as well because I even though I'm a guy, I can relate to the female.
You sure? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Even though I'm a guy, I can relate to the female training thing because I've got 2 younger sisters,
Right.
and they always apprehensive of going to public gyms because it's a bit weird,
Yeah.
There's not in the public gyms there's not a fully developed female area where people can women can go and properly train.
Definitely.
So how is it? Why? My question is, I guess, is why isn't there more of a market? I would say more female personal trainers specifically for females, or why isn't that
I
bigger
know
than
there's
it is?
female trainers within a gym,
Yeah.
and like you said, in a gym, yeah, they have female sort of allocated sections, but it's very sort of.
They're sad, aren't they?
It's sad. It's lacking. It's very basic, very
Yeah.
box standard. You got a couple of cardio machines, a couple of pairs of dumbbells, and your basic cable sort of machines, and that's about it.
Yeah, do you think that's why, like, I
And
mean,
even when you go to these mixed gyms, I mean, even when you go to these mixed sort of commercial gyms with the women's sections, you have to walk through
Yeah.
the men's section to get to these. So kind of like they're still kind of having that
it
contact.
defeats the purpose,
Where
right?
I've got
Yeah.
my space, where it's a private facility, all women are welcome there, and they're literally, it's like our own little sort of area. Got our music going on, got
Yeah.
everything.
We've got the lights as well now.
We've got the lights as well. It's like a little party rave going on there.
No, it's really fun, yeah.
Were you, is this your first business, or is it?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
my first business.
Is your
So at least
first-
all this time you've been telling me she's going training, but she's been raving. Don't what.
Why do you think I enjoy it so much?
Maybe you twice,
I've
bro.
just exposed her how it raves.
That's it. So it's your first business. So was it like, why did you want to get it? Why did you want to make it like a full? Because this is your. This is
So
your
you're doing it
full-time
full time
thing, right?
now?
I'm doing it full time. So
Yeah.
basically, it kind of started off, like I said, it was something as a side hobby
Yeah.
that I did. And I thought, you know what, I'm working in an office job. I was working in accounts. And I thought, you know what, I'll do this on the side because I genuinely love what I do. It just kind of snowballed. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it full time. I love it that much because at the end of the day, if you love something that you do, it's not really work.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, sorry, just want to step back just a little bit. So talk to me about. So you said you were in a dark space, I think 8-9 years ago,
Yeah.
and you're having Ben Jerry ice cream. I mean, Ben
Yeah,
Jerry
yeah.
it's not all that bad, you know. It's not all that bad.
In
Well,
moderation.
Haagen-Dazs, it depended on the day. Yeah.
So what do you think the main reason was? So obviously you came back to training. You thought, okay, this is a pivotal point in your life.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, a lot of the listeners are going to be here. You know, you're a female personal trainer. You know, and you say, you know, you're training with, you know, HH as well. Question is, what was the main mental barrier that you had to overcome from going from, you know, in that position you were to training? What were some mental barriers that you had to break down? What did you have to break down mentally to get to?
The
to
training is discipline. It's literally, that's what everyone lacks, is discipline. I had to kind of, it was discipline over motivation. That's literally what it was. Some days I was motivated to go, but some days I had to go. I was like, if I don't go, I'm going to fall off the wagon, and I need to keep it going.
So what does that look like? Does that look like, let's say Monday to Friday, you're going training, like you just you're training 3, 4, 5 times a week.
Yeah.
What does that look like? So Monday you want to go, Tuesday you can't be bothered to do. The day that your mind tells you, look, I can't be bothered to go today.
Yeah.
What's the battle in the mind?
No, I literally plan my whole week. Like on the weekend, the following week, I plan my whole week. I structure it. You need structure. Without planning, you're not going to do anything. You need to have that intention set in your mind that you are going to do it. That's literally how I do it. A lot of planning.
What would be an example of a plan? So let's say on a Sunday, what does your plan?
Sunday.
Let's talk about 8 years ago. Let's not talk about like 8 years when you were going through that transition.
Yeah.
What did that plan look like?
8 years ago, okay, I would try and do my meal prep on a Sunday, make sure my food shopping's in for meal preps, write down the days I'm going to go to the gym, write down my rest periods as well, what my splits were, all of that. So that's pretty
Did
much.
you design your own workout sort of routines as well at that time, or?
Yeah, because I was self-educating,
Yeah.
it was a bit hit and miss at that
Just
time.
winging it a
was
bit.
kind of winging it a bit. Obviously, over time, I kind of tweaked it, but that was generally kind of because I kept that going. It's kind of worked for me. So, a lot of planning, and yeah, I mean, I did get a bit of guidance from a few personal trainers here and there. I did learn off them as well, and again, like I said, self-education. A lot of YouTube videos, a lot of sort of looking into things, reading, and it just kind of triggered off that kind of what's the word, that desire to want to learn about it. It's the female, it's the body, the anatomy, it's the body we live in. Why not treat it with respect?
So in terms of the structure, so you had the rest periods, you had training periods. What did that look like for you? So were you doing 4-day splits, 5-day splits? Were you doing 2 days on, 1 day rest, 2 days on? What sort of?
To be honest, because I had a daughter, it was more kind of based around her. Yeah, it was a bit like that at that time because she was younger. So whichever days were sort of convenient for me, it was more sort of
I think
around
a
that.
lot of mums
And
can resonate with
exactly,
that.
they
'cause,
can
like, it's all
resonate.
well and good being like, okay, I'm going to do it this day and this day and this day.
So
but
it was kind
sometimes-
of like chopping and changing.
Yeah.
So even if I planned something, if something happened, little one fell ill or you're going to get a childcare, I was like, okay, I'll use that as a rest day, but I'm still going to train. I'll do it another day. So it was a lot of, and that's mindset, that's discipline. Because I could have easily said, you know what, I'll just take that day off. I can't train, that's it. But I had to.
I think that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the slightest inconvenience. If you're already looking for an excuse, it'll just be
Yeah,
like,
it's an excuse,
okay.
isn't it? Yeah. Oh, do you know what? I've got my excuse and that's fine. Yeah. But it wasn't good enough. I was like, no, I've got to do it.
Do you hear that excuse a lot? I guess, is your main demographic that you train Asians or
Yeah.
South Asians?
They're Asians because they feel like, obviously in terms of food-wise as well, they can sort of relate to the types of food.
I was just gonna ask that question because like a common thing that we all get asked, like we've all lost a good amount of weight between us, but a common question we get asked on our social media personally is that I live in an Asian household. My mum making biryani every day. How do I lose weight? How can I? What can I eat as a substitute? Like what would you answer? How I'm sure a lot of your clients probably have a similar type of.
It's literally, when I first started doing it, I'm not going to lie to you, even though I don't live with my parents, and I used to go there, like, to see them and stuff, they used to get offended when I never ate their food.
Yeah.
My mum took it to offence, and I was like, Mum, please, like, literally, I'm on a journey, you need to sort of understand what I'm going through. I'm going through this sort of transitionary period in my life. I need to do this for myself. You need to be my support mechanism. You need to see like what I'm doing, and it's like a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. I will eat. Maybe I'd occasionally sniff the biryani or like have a spoon just to make her happy. That's about it. But I was like, no, because once I have a bit too, once
That's
you
good.
start,
I mean, even having that spoon, makes parents feel like at comfort. At least they tried it.
you're still sort of,
The biggest thing for me was I remember when I was first like trying to lose weight, like in the start of the first lockdown, my mum and dad always just say, Masood, man, you need to lose weight, you're getting. And the thing is with Asian parents, they're the first ones to tell you that you've gained weight, and the first ones to
Complain about it when you start.
Complain about it when you
oh,
start
you're
losing
too
weight.
slim, oh,
Exactly,
you put some meat on you and all that.
Exactly.
Very critical, but you just need to sort of sit down with them and tell them this is what it is, and then on top of that, you need to be disciplined as well. You can't give in to the smell of the curry in the house and all the rest of it. When your mum's making sal and roti and stuff, and you need to be like, okay, that's where the meal preps come in. And thank you very much for sending me those lovely khanaprep meal preps. They're amazing. Meal prep, that's very important, because then your meals are set out, you have to eat them, those are your macros and calories, and that's it. You can sort of have half a roti, make a roti. A roti is about 120 calories, not too bad. But then you can actually make your own curry and adjust it. So you just use spray oil, things like that. So it's not as if you can't eat it. Maybe the way mum makes it, you can't eat because mum probably puts a ton of oil in it and stuff.
Exactly.
More oil in there than Saudi Arabia in the usual Asian household. But you can adapt it. So I do have a recipe book. It does have adaptations in there as well for sort of Asian style foods and things like that, because at the end of the day, fitness is like a thing where it shouldn't be a chore. It should be sort of something that you enjoy, because I think once something's a chore, you're not going to adhere to it. If it's something you enjoy, you're going to adhere to it. It's going to be long term. It's going to be sustainable, and you're going to sort of smash it.
It has to sort of just slot into your normal sort of day-to-day life. If you
it shouldn't have to be, oh God, I have to get exercise.
If you're having to make like a million changes all in one go, you're not going to stick to it.
And it's not going to happen overnight. You make small tweaks as you go along. So
the biggest thing for me personally was if you're already accustomed to a certain lifestyle, fitness shouldn't be a thing where you should stop and completely change your whole lifestyle around.
You just make tweaks.
Because exactly, like you're gonna give up on it sooner than you think. It should be natural, like you said, like with making healthier substitutes to food. Like Asian food, people don't understand, is actually generally very healthy. It's got protein. It's made with like a tomato base, like the salmon's made with tomatoes.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, and if you just take away the oil and fat and butter, it's a very healthy
It's
meal.
like your chicken curry, for example. Like you said, tomato base, onions, that's veg, right? Then you've got the chicken, that's the protein, okay? Then you've got a little bit of fat, if you can, with the spray oil. Your job done. There you go, healthy curry. A chapati or a pita bread or a tortilla wrap under sort of 200 calories, there you go. You've got sort of like a 500 calorie meal there.
I think that's what you guys are talking about. It's very important to understand, especially when it comes to training. A lot of people, when they think they need to train, they need to change, that they can't have food at home. And I think that makes it difficult for a lot of people. When they think they need to train, they need to go access separate food. I think as a family, if people can adapt their food at home, so let's say mum's making the curry, you're like, Mum, I'll eat the curry, just drop the oil a little bit, and it kind of just makes the macros make sense for everybody. And that was one of the thinking behind when we were designing the khanaprep meals. I remember me and MASOOD, when we sat down, like, what meals should we make? We're like, okay, let's pick up actual meals that are out there that people really enjoy eating, and let's look at how we can adapt those meals to fit appropriate macros. And that's why the meals, I think, taste, it doesn't make sense.
Can I just interject and say that peanut sauce is next level? Oh, that I don't know who made that one.
Sid is
but
very, very proud of that
I'm
achievement.
literally in awe
really
of
like
that. I could just guzzle the whole thing down. It was so good. I was
Wow.
Khanaprep sauce is coming out, isn't it?
yeah, you need to do bottles of that stuff. I'm telling you.
You're
Come
the
to a
first
weight roast
person
near
that
you.
said that.
No,
You're the first person
seriously,
that
that
said
peanut
that.
satay sauce thing.
Wow.
Absolutely banging. 10
No, I
10.
appreciate it. I remember when I came up with that sauce, it was a story. I was working in the kitchen and I saw some lady make that sauce, but the unhealthy version.
Yeah.
So I remember went in my car quickly after my shift and I was like, I literally memorized the whole recipe. I wrote it down. But then
you watched her.
I watched her do it. I was
make
like,
it.
how did you? And so I tasted it. I was like, oh my days, this is banging.
Explosive.
And then I asked her, I was like, so how did you make this again? So she told me all the recipe, all the ingredients. And I was like, quickly, all right. I went in my car and I quickly wrote it down on my phone. And I was like, okay.
Let me adapt it.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
no.
Because that's the healthy version. The unhealthy version tastes like crack, bro. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my god.
Well, how do you know crack tastes like?
No comment.
Any confessions to make?
No comment. No, but that's good. Cool. So.
So you know, a question came to mind when MASOOD started talking about the peanut sauce. In terms of what do you think is the biggest barrier for Asian women training? As in, do you find it? Is it their lifestyle? Is it
Family support.
Is it family support? Is it laziness? Is it what do you think it is?
A bit of everything, really. Family support. A lot of them don't like going to the gym just because of the fact that there's men and it's very intrusive and they don't have that privacy. So that's why they don't. And then just the fact that, you know, Asian lifestyle, it's just sort of very relaxed and you stay at home, you cook your food and that's it. You never really hear much about women going gym in sort of the Asian community. It's very sort of like housewife kind of lifestyle where, you know, yeah, they are working as well, but it's sort of it's never sort of like a thing that they've done. But yeah, excuses. What else?
I'd assume a large part of it is down to the fact, or like you said, lifestyle. So what would you say are some key things? I mean, even because getting to training with a personal trainer or going to a gym, I think,
or even trying to get your steps up.
right,
Yeah,
I think
difficult.
there's probably a few steps before somebody be like, you know, I need a personal trainer. Because personal trainer, I remember when I started working with my PT, there was a certain thing that clicked in my mind. I was like, look, this is now a job for me.
Yeah.
This is it. You know, I'm going to wake up in the worst possible time. So I'm in the gym with my personal trainer at 7:45 in the morning. And I hate being in the gym at that time. I'm still half asleep.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I treat it like a job. Like it needs
Yeah.
to be there, and the only
Like
way
an
I'm going to do
appointment
that,
almost,
it's
yeah.
like an accountability. I need to be there. He's going to be there. He's going to tell me what to do. I'm not doing no thinking.
Okay.
But from females' perspective, obviously, not all females. Obviously, time is time can be issues if they've got children, if they've got things like
yeah.
that as well. So, what would you say are some basic things before they even turn up to a PT or before they even end up in the gym? What are some lifestyle changes they can start to make so that they can start to consider going to a gym or taking a personal trainer?
Just simple things like adapting your meals at home first. Simple things like I always say, do your steps. It's such a big thing. I bang on about doing your steps because you tell someone to run, they're going to be like, I'm not going to do it. You tell someone to do your steps, just walk, you can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
You can tell someone from 6, 16 or 60 to do their steps, they'll do it. I bought my mum a Fitbit, right? And because she was a little bit like, oh, you know, I need to lose weight, I don't feel good. And her diet wasn't too bad, like she doesn't put too much oil in her food. But literally within a month of doing steps, she couldn't do her prayers. She was always sitting in a chair. Not only did she lose a stone, she could then pray properly as well. She was bending over everything. Literally, the steps will improve like your life.
How many steps were you asking everyone to do?
She started off at 5k. By the end of the month, she was doing about 10 easily.
10K a day.
10k daily, just because she had a target to hit on her watch, and she was
And it
like,
would
"Do you know
motivate
what?"
her to move forward.
Yeah, exactly, and that's just like, you know, a parent. So can you imagine, you know, who's someone a bit younger who's got that time?
What would you say the recommended? I mean, what steps do you consider you do? Would you say is 10k,
I would
20k?
say about 10k, and then
Is that on the lower end, on the upper end?
that sort of mid-range standard 10k steps a day is more than sufficient. If you feel like, you know, you've had a bit of a bad weekend or something, and all the rest of it, which does happen with all of us, I'd say amp it up a couple of thousand more. Literally just to counteract it and just tweak your diet a bit more. More protein to keep you full for longer. That's another important thing that I always sort of tell my clients, get that protein level up. So important.
How much of a, because a lot of losing weight, or I would say the main aspect of losing weight is being on a calorie deficit.
Yeah, of
How
course.
important would you say that is, especially from obviously being all of us being Asian and having experienced the Asian where you're losing weight. Oh, I'm gonna have one less roti, or I'm gonna have no
more salad with
exactly.
that's the healthy version. And,
but they don't
I've seen
understand is that they can literally eat what they want to eat, but as long as they're in a deficit, which doesn't really mean eating less food, it just means eating less calories.
Yeah.
How do you explain that to your clients? Like how do you go about explaining that?
So the way I get them to get into a deficit is simply tracking, because what gets tracked and measured gets improved. You can guesstimate, you can say, oh, I think this is that much calorie, but you're never going to sort of get that sort of right result until you physically track it. I know it might sound daunting at first, but if you think about it, it's literally 5 minutes of your whole day that can improve your results and make you hit your goals sort of faster than just sort of guessing, oh, you know, I think this is this much and that much, and just tracking your food. I give them their calories, they track it, tell them to increase their protein, so again they don't sort of feel like they need to snack as much because they're fuller, and that's basically it. And again, just you can kind of pretty much eat what you want. And I also advocate sort of like, you know, not 100% strict, sort of like an 80-20 diet where you're kind of 80% nutritious foods, wholesome nutritious foods, and the other 20% you can eat your chocolates and cakes. I actually encourage them to eat a chocolate bar every day. I say eat your chocolate bar, get that fix, because that way you're going to stay on track. Because then what happens from Monday to Friday, right, they'll be super restrictive, and then come weekend they're going to got a massive blowout, and they're going to go 5 steps forward, 10 steps back. So
there's a few important things you mentioned there. I think just to clarify, not for anyone on the table, but just for the viewers listening to it, you mentioned about tracking, and I'm assuming what you mean by tracking is, you know, they need to track their carbohydrates, their proteins, their fats. Now here's an important question. I think a lot of people when they're tracking, obviously when you buy things from a shop, it's quite easy, you know, to get them out and scan it, whatever the case is. But what about when you're cooking food at home? You know, for example, let's say you've made, let's say I'm assuming you make stuff for your daughter at home and stuff like that, and you made a whole portion. Now you've got 3 people eating from that. How do you advise people on to how to track that?
Literally weigh what you make. You weigh it.
Raw or uncooked? Cooked?
So
raw?
I weigh the meat. I weigh raw. Stuff like pastas. I give portion sizes to people. So pastas, I recommend sort of 75 grams. Dried weight, rice around 60 grams dried weight because it triples in size. And literally, I know it sounds daunting, but once you get used to it, it becomes like, I don't need to track because I know how many calories are in it. I know how much protein there is in egg or whatever, but it's just natural to me now. It's because I know I've got certain goals to hit. If I want to hit them properly, I need to track. So I know it might not work for everyone, and they might do that whole intuitive eating, but this is the way. If you want results, I do
100%.
strongly recommend and advocate. Download that MyFitnessPal, start tracking. So before it goes in your mouth, it goes in the app.
I think a very important example to give there, and it makes a lot of sense, is, I mean, companies, you know, spend, in any company, like we run company, we run khanaprep, you run HS Fitness, you know, other companies that we manage, data is always the driving force behind everything. Data allows you to see what's happened in the past. It allows you to make, you know, decisions in the present, and it helps you predict what to do in the future. Exactly, you know, 100%.
And you can improve from it.
But I think if you can just talk a little bit more about, just generally, because especially as a female personal trainer, a lot of females, especially ones responsible for cooking, not saying females are the only ones that cook, but the ones who are responsible for cooking, and if they've been asked to sort of manage foods, so let's say they've got a portion size, let's say they've cooked food for 5 people, for example, how do they then go allocate those calories? Okay, this is a portion size. Do they weigh it pre-cooked, post-cooked? What would you advise? How does it work?
What I usually do is, say for example, I don't know, say meal prep, say for 3 days, Monday to Wednesday, you're going to do it on Sunday. What I usually do, I'll say get 150 grams of meat per portion, so that'll be 450.
That's raw,
raw meat. So that's your meat side, and then again with the dried pasta, rice, potatoes, I say roughly 200 to 300 per portion, and you can literally, as long as you weigh it beforehand, you can
whack it in.
That's it, and you just track it, and then what you do, you copy and paste it on MyFitnessPal. It's got so many good features. Just literally, all you got to do is one day, copy and paste it to the next day.
No, but if you are cooking that meal, and now you split it into 4 people now, right?
Yeah.
Do you just whatever you worked out in the raw form? You've put it all in a big pan,
and that's
and then you just kind of just
copy paste across. Literally, that's it.
And why do you measure your food raw? What's the significance of that?
I think it's just something I've always done because it's just something I've been taught, I suppose. I think also by the time you've cooked your food, you really want to sit there weighing. You want to weigh it beforehand. So then by the time it's made, you can eat your food. Where before, when you've got that time beforehand, I can weigh everything, write it down. While you're cooking and stuff, and afterwards it's just it gets a bit too much. So I find it more convenient, to be fair, to do it beforehand.
A lot of the nutritional value of food comes in its raw form as well.
Exactly.
So a lot of people would be surprised, like you mentioned, when you say, people might listen and say, you mentioned weighing 60 grams of rice, and like 60 grams, that's not a lot, but when it expands,
it triples, yeah.
So it looks like 3/4 of the plate is rice, and that's how much rice that you can eat.
It might not be a lot to people, but once you bulk it up with certain things like your veg, your salad, your proteins, and all the rest of it, and maybe a sauce, it can be quite filling.
But people, this is a good point, but people don't understand, like, when they, like, I remember going back to my own personal journey, when I was trying to lose weight, I thought eating pasta was a sin. I couldn't eat pasta at all, because like I was like weighing out the cooked version of pasta and then putting on MyFitnessPal, and it came to like 500 calories. I'm like, bro, I can't eat this. It's like half my calories.
Pasta's like 500 calories.
Exactly. I can't add any sauce to it, no nothing, any dry pasta. But
losing 5'2" in FIFA as well.
Then when this guy keeps on going on about beating me in FIFA, that never happened. There's no record of that. But going back to the point of pasta, when I realized that all the nutritional value, or the most accurate version of the nutritional value, comes from its raw format, then that's when the game changes. Because then the whole point of losing weight, I think people get misconstrued over, is I need to eat less food. That means I need to take 2 breaths a day, 4 bottles of water, and I'm good. That's not the case. Like, you just gotta eat less calories.
Yeah.
And people, when I clocked that, okay, you weigh rice in its raw form, weigh pasta in its raw form, weigh chicken in its raw form. When it gets cooked, chicken will shrink, but the pasta and
the water content
rice
gets released.
But the pasta and rice will expand, so you're actually eating more food. And that's what people don't understand. Volume eating, exactly.
People think like to go on a calorie deficit, or when it comes to fitness, you need to have that sort of bodybuilder Arnold Schwarzenegger diet of like, you know, broccoli, chicken,
raw eggs.
Raw eggs, yeah, that's the one.
Rocky
whack the raw eggs in the protein shake.
16 meals a day.
You know, the golden era of bodybuilding. You know, that sort of kind of diet. No,
it's not.
I can't.
It's not. Yeah, I think what you mentioned is really, really important there. It's being practical as well. I mean, if you're not a full-time bodybuilder and you're not competing, and a lot of people, when I was training in the gym, and again, this is a bit of a random story in my life, but just to go into your point very quickly, is when I was training in the gym a year ago when I started, I was 30 kilos up. And there were people at the same time who were training there in the gym. They're like, oh, you know, they would always come and give me advice. I would just do this, do that, right? And I was just stuck to my PT. A year on, I lost 30 kilos. People in the gym who were in the same position I was in were exactly the same a year on. And if you ask, you know, I ask them, you know, they're coming to me like, oh, what did you do? I'm like, I did nothing but do consistent training and eating appropriately. The question is why? The thing is, people are too used to going on YouTube, going on the internet, finding a new diet, be like, okay, let me try 16 meals a day now. Or let me go and
all these fads.
The thing is, I came across a really important statistic recently. Wherever diet you go, if it's keto, if it's intermittent fasting, if you go, all of them, they all are based on the same principle. Keto,
calorie deficit.
They're restricting your calories. Keto is restricting your carbs, which means you end up having low calories overall. Intermittent fasting means you have less time to eat food overall, which means it restricts your calories.
Window gap of eating.
That's all it is. You can still gain weight on intermittent fasting if you end up in that. I mean, people in Ramadan, right? They fast. They still gain weight. How do they gain weight? Because in that 5-hour window they still end up managing eating 4,000 calories.
But the quality of food eating during that time as well is horrendous.
They still manage to eat 4,000 calories. Can you imagine people gain weight in Ramadan? Like, that's crazy. Because, you know, everybody just...
what do you have for, out of curiosity, what do you have for cheat days? Like, what do you have, how often
do you have cheat days? Or do you have like...
I kind of, whenever I feel like having something, I kind of have it.
You don't restrict yourself?
No, not really, no.
I'll be following your recipes at home about, what was it? What we had the other day, the protein oat.
Oh yeah, the no, not the other one, baked oats.
Baked oats, yeah.
Tried it for the first time.
I yammed half of it down.
Was it?
It's only 150 calories.
What is it, like a cake?
for half the...
It's like, it's it's baked oats, so it's almost like a cake type thing, but like a healthy food. You can also add protein powder to that as well.
I just followed your thing. It was really, really
yeah,
good.
I realised.
How did you come up with these recipes? And you said you got a recipe book. How did you come up with that? Like,
literally, it's just a lot of trial and error, getting ideas and then sort of tweaking it and adapting it to make it my own. And then just things that I would eat all the time. And I was like, okay, I'm always sort of putting it on my social media, and then people were watching. They were like, oh my God, what's the recipe? And I'm thinking, okay, people actually like the food that I'm putting on. So that's where that came about, really.
I think what I really like about your recipes is that they're so easy as well. Most of them are literally just using normal ingredients. Like
in the cupboard staples,
Yeah, it's exactly. And they're so quick and simple to make, but they taste and they look really good as well. So I think that's the biggest thing, I think, when you're sort of starting a new sort of fitness journey is like, oh, okay, I have to think about all these meals. I have to think about 3 meals a day, and they have to be different every day. But it helps when you've got like staples that you can go back to, and you know they taste good and they're simple to make. And
simple to make, because obviously also as busy mum as well, that's the sort of the mentality I had, like what can I make quickly, scramble up and things like that. So it was just,
especially when daughter comes back from school, she's hungry, you haven't got time to like make a full sort of.
They're basic but yummy food, basically.
I have a question now. Obviously being a female personal trainer, a lot of females, there's a couple of some problems females face. Which number one is obviously when they're pregnant.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a very common saying about if you're pregnant you need to eat for two, right? And the second question, I'll ask both questions in one go so that you can have because I know you're kind of getting ready to answer the question already. And number two is now that you've given birth. Now, a lot of there's a lot of confusion regarding now that because you've given a child, therefore you're going to gain weight. I don't believe that to be true, because I don't think it's. I'm assuming, and I'll let you answer it because it'll sound more appropriate coming from a female. Is it that the metabolism changes? Is it the calories? Whatever the case is, do you want to sort of shed some light on those two questions?
Okay. Well, obviously when you're pregnant, your calorie needs obviously increase, because you are kind of, it really is, you are eating for two. But at the same time, I mean, back then when I was pregnant, I wasn't into fitness, so I can't really say too much. But I do know, because I am actually currently studying for my pre and postnatal, training women, so I'll be doing that as well in the future.
Excellent.
Yeah. You definitely can train. You definitely. People have this misconception of like, oh my God, you're pregnant, you can't lift a weight. You can. It actually helps with the pregnancy and stuff, and just overall like that kind of whole bounce back situation when when you give birth, you're not feeling your best as well. Some people get postnatal depression and the blues and stuff. I would say you can carry on training. Once you've given birth, once you get that clearance from your doctor, I think around 6 to 12 weeks post birth, you're good to go. Get back into it. There's no restriction. I think you can train up to sort of the last sort of trimester. So that's a good few months. Good few months.
So when you come out after giving birth, obviously a lot of females gain weight, right?
Yeah.
Now, are they gaining weight because of the fact they've given birth, or is it because their metabolism has changed and they sort of can't continue eating in that manner? Where does the data sort of sit on that?
It's because literally they've just given birth to a whole human being. So there is going to be excess fat. There is going to be sort of that weight gain. Metabolism has changed because you're not as active. Obviously, last trimester, you're sort of heavy. You can't sort of move around. You're kind of sitting down a lot more. So it is a bit of a sort of transition then. But yeah, I've had women that have come to me sort of 6-7 weeks after they've given birth, and they're ready to go on it. They're like, you know what, we miss our training. We want to get back onto it. And they're just good to go. So
what would you advise? So obviously you'd advise people to continue training for as long as they can.
Yeah.
Obviously there are certain probably times where you cannot train because
everyone's different. Everyone's pregnancy is different. Some pregnancies are easier. Some pregnancies are not so easy. So it's all dependent on obviously every single female is different. Like I had an easy pregnancy. Someone else might not have had an easy pregnancy. It all depends on the person. But yeah, you just sort of change the exercises. You again. Lower impact, not too much jumping, obviously, things like that. Seated exercises more rather than standing, and you just adapt. But
when you exit that, so for example, when you exit, so once you've given birth, you've been cleared by your doctor, you're good to go. Because I know there's a lot of females who exponentially, and I say this with the utmost respect, obviously some females after they exponentially gain weight.
Yeah.
Is that because they've given up? Is it because they've metabolism has changed and they haven't adapted their food to that? What do you think the answer to that question is? Like, how do you deal with that?
Well, once they've come back.
Yeah, once they've come back, or not to training. Generally, so women will give birth.
Yeah.
Once they've sort of exited that period, they will just continue to gain weight exponentially on.
Yeah.
With that, is that because they've not adjusted their calories, their metabolism have changed?
Yeah, that's what they need to. They literally just need to. It's again starting from scratch again. You've given birth. You've got a fresh slate now to start off with, and literally you're starting from scratch.
So do you think it is possible, like you hear all the time, especially with celebrities and stuff, that they've bounced back to the pre-baby weight?
Sorry, I'm gonna just be honest. They've bounced back because we know why they've bounced back. A lot of them. Yeah, do the cheat method. Let's not talk about celebrities.
So you think that's unattainable for most women to expect a month after giving birth I'm going to be back in my size 8 jeans type of thing, or is that
you got to do it sensibly? That's all.
Is that what you advise?
That is what you see on TV in this whole in 1 month situation. They've got assistance with that. If that makes sense. Yeah. Again, it's like I said, starting from scratch. You do it sensibly. In the first week, you might by adjusting your diet and training, you might end up losing 4 or 5 pounds. But then after that, it will be sort of constant, a couple of pounds a week. And also, it also depends on yourself how much you're willing to commit, because I can train someone 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a week, but then they have to input that as well from their side.
100%.
So but yeah, it's like I said, it's literally starting from scratch again. It really is.
So I mean, I've heard this phrase loads of times now. So if it takes you 9 months to get to obviously the size or whatever you are when you've giving birth, you should allow at least 9 months to get back to that. Do you think there's any truth in that?
No.
Or is that
No.
It can happen quicker.
Whatever your input is, your output. If you're dedicated, you'll do your steps every day, you track your meals, you put that work in, you'll train. Even if you train once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, the rest of the time you'll go to the gym, you put that work in. It depends on, everyone's different. You won't make excuses. It depends on your intention, it really does. So
fair enough. Shout out to all the Asian aunties giving birth and that.
What Asian aunties?
It can be done. It can be done.
I just say it's a common thing, man. The Asian aunties give birth and then sit back and relax. And,
now, obviously, that's your time to enjoy with your child as well, and all the rest of it. And
Fair.
again, childcare can play into that as well. I've noticed, because when women do come back, they might have to be like, we can't come this day because the baby's been up all night and I haven't had rest. Which I say fair enough. We'll rearrange or we'll just sort of things. That's fine, but. There's so much that goes into it. Once you give birth, it's not clear cut as well. So there's not just having that. It's good and well to have intention, but then you've got a whole other human being to care for, and a newborn that needs your attention. As a mother, you have to attend to that child first.
And that's a workout in itself.
Exactly. There you go. And that's how a lot of women do lose weight, running around and breastfeeding.
No, it's hard work. I mean, especially if you've got more than one child as well at the same time, of similar age, then you're kind of you're exhausted. And then when you're training, you need energy. Obviously, MASOOD's like, I don't have a child, but soon. But okay, so I mean, it's really good to hear that. Obviously, you're sort of getting yourself ready for pre and postnatal stuff. Yeah. I'm assuming obviously that is going to open the doors for HF Fitness to access a lot of more clients and stuff as well.
That sort of nature,
you might as well open up a crash facility there too. No, honestly, I think it would help women a lot. I mean, honestly, I can't help but give business
ideas now. He's given me many before.
I can't help but give business ideas on the podcast, but obviously, like you said, a lot of women who are gonna have children.
Yeah, a lot of women do.
They might have childcare.
Yeah.
If there was something there that somebody that could manage them, I think that would.
Is that the future of HH Fitness?
Yeah, that's
You need to get a bigger studio, I think.
I think so. I need to upgrade
Are you
now.
looking to expand the H&H Fitness just beyond Slough? Because you do have a lot of clients across the country, right? Like a few clients.
I have clients out from London. I have also online clients as well from all over the UK, basically.
Okay. Is that virtual, done over Zoom?
So it's done over the phone. It's done via FaceTime.
Okay.
1-to-1. Just literally how I would be with you in the studio on the FaceTime.
Wow. And did that start over lockdown, or was that always a part of your business?
So that started in lockdown. So I opened my studio.
Yeah.
Boris announced gym's shut,
Yeah.
everything's shut. I was like, oh my God, I've just opened my studio.
His
I was like,
partying was clearly, he wasn't shut. His
yeah,
partying
yeah,
was fully
his
open.
party was like I can't rave.
He was allowing partying that he obviously didn't know about, and then he did know about it afterwards.
Oh,
But then he didn't know the rules were being broken, but he's the one that wrote the rules.
He's so funny.
Yeah. So that started with a lockdown then.
So I
as a
started
result.
over lockdown
Yeah.
just to sort of keep myself going. I thought, okay, I'm not going to stop. I was persistent. I was like, I'm not going to let this lockdown sort of stop
That
me.
was really like disheartening though if you've just.
I literally opened it for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And Boris announced it, and I was like, "Why?" But it is what it is. You know, you get these sort of barriers along the way. So I was like, "I'm adamant. I'm going to keep going, even if it's just online, a couple of clients a week or whatever." And then I just kind of garnered the attention on the socials and got clients. And then once the studio opened, people wanted to sort of come there.
I saw on your Instagram that you have a few influencer clients as well. How did they get in touch with you, or did you get in touch with them?
Yeah, so at that time in lockdown, I thought, right, I need to sort of take my business off. How can I do it? And people obviously like shiny things and things like that. They see certain people working with you. So I got in touch with a couple of influencers and we've collaborated, and that's how that went about. They were so happy to work with me, and I still have a couple of them on the books, and we're still going.
On the books, proper accountancy time.
Well, I did work in accounting though.
Proper accounts coming out there, you know.
Yeah.
No, that's honestly. Do you have any sort of advice from a female PT as well as somebody who's gone through that transformation yourself? You know, from a younger. I think I saw in your website that you're also a single parent. So what sort of advice do you have for the females watching this podcast? They see you as I'm assuming they will be seeing you as a role model. Put you on the map. Hopefully, Khanaprep's going to have this out on 100K followers on TikTok. So a lot of people are going to see this. So aside from your HH Fitness business, what are some key takeaway points you can give to the female audience that no matter where you are, if you're struggling at home, there might be struggling in marriages, there might be domestic abuse, and all of the training can come as a coping mechanism in some ways or not.
100%.
Right?
It's a way of sort of letting that channeling it, channel whatever you've got, any negativity, channel it into fitness. It will always the rewards you get from it. I can't even explain. It's so uplifting. It will build your confidence up, especially in the Asian female community. I find women are very sort of oppressed or suppressed, or they feel like they're not confident enough, or and all the rest of it. And I just feel like once you get into fitness, you get that surge of confidence. You feel independent, empowered, and I would just strongly recommend if you're thinking about it, don't think about it, just do it. Just get on with it and do it. It's literally, even if it means going to the gym, starting off even on a treadmill just to get those steps in, just take that one step, because that can then lead and onto you sort of going onto the resistance machines, lifting weights, and then you can eventually fall in love with it as well.
Do you find there's a lot of misconceptions amongst women when they hear the term lifting weights?
Yeah, they think Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get
I don't want to look a man. I don't want to look proper hench. All the rest of it, I'm like, you're not going to look hench. Trust me, you're going to look good. So.
And I have to ask, obviously, you can be as honest as you can be. Obviously, you sent some Khanaprep meals. Just wanted to get your feedback on how did you find the Khanaprep meals?
I think you saw my post, isn't it? How amazing they were.
But I think I want everybody else to hear it as well.
No, I think they're the most amazing meal preps I've ever tasted in my life. Like I've said before, I could literally guzzle down that peanut sauce. I've never, honest to God, I've never ever tasted chicken so tender. You even gave me ideas. How about that? And I'm a foodie. And I thought I knew it all. And I've got a recipe book out. You gave me ideas, right? Literally, I was like...
Don't be robbing them now.
No, how to prepare...
She's like studying, she's like writing
it down.
Like, done exactly what did that woman.
No, I mean, I really appreciate that feedback. And one of the main reasons Khanaprep was founded was on the basis of our own journeys. This is a year ago, and I was like, I need to lose weight. Yeah. How do I do it? Me and Lisa had zero time. Obviously, at the time, me and MASOOD were just starting to work together, and I was like to MASOOD, look, if we can make a healthy meal prep company, and at that time I think me and Lisa ordered some different green meal prep companies, I'm saying this with respect, right? I've never left a negative review to any business in my life.
Yeah.
Up until today, I couldn't. The food would not pass my mouth. It was like cardboard. And I was like, if this is the standard of the meal prep company, let's sit down And we spent the first 5-6 months, trialing a menu. We released it. We got some constructive feedback from people. We took that feedback on board, and then we spent a good part of 2 months, meticulously planning this menu that's out currently. And we thought, it banged. We thought it did really well. We're gonna have new menus coming out every 4 weeks. Every 4 or 5 weeks, there's gonna be a new set of 15 meals coming out, and equally meticulous. So you'll get some tasters for those coming soon as well.
Fair enough. Cool. That's it. We're wrapping up.
Yep.
Cool, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe. And Humaira, where can people find you?
So you can find me on hhfitness.uk on Instagram.
Yep.
So-
You look into that camera. Say
Oh,
that.
okay. So many cameras here. I don't know which one to look at. So you can find me on hhfitness.uk on Instagram. So yeah.
And what are some of the services that you give? And just an opportunity, what are some of the services that you give? So you give obviously.
So I've got one-to-one PTing face-to-face in my private studio located in Slough, Berkshire. Then I also do online one-to-one PTing as well, and I've also got a recipe book which you can buy from my website www.hhfitness.uk.
That's why we'll make sure that we'll make sure your website handle comes up on the on the podcast as well. And any closing remarks? Do you want to say anything? Do you want to give one last confident boost to all the females out there listening to you? I'll let you close off the podcast.
Yeah, let's all get fit, fierce, and fabulous, because that's what fitness is about, really.
That's it.
Ooh,
Anisa,
yeah.
any closing remarks from yourself?
No.
Anything, Masood?
No, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys in the next one. That's it.